These knives suck. When you buy these things from a store, or you shoplift them, or you find them, they suck. I found this one on the street. Whoever had it ground the tip on concrete, just dragged it on the curb, and it was basically nothing more than just a glorified butter knife when I found it. I used, this is a lawnmower sharpening, this is a lawnmower blade sharpener. Kind of slightly modified, altered it just a little bit. The plastic piece on the bottom, I reshaped it. And I reshape and I hone everything from shovels, axes, knives. I completely reshaped the whole blade on this. And you cannot flick a Gerber. When you buy these out of the package, right? Whether you buy it from the retail store or anywhere, you cannot take a Gerber knife out of the box and flick it. You can't. They're not made that way. This is modified. Really, really, really illegally modified. That's the one I found on the street. This one, I found this somewhere. I think I found it on the street. I don't know. I found it somewhere. This one never could flick before as well. I'm still working on it. So on the inside part of the blade and the handle are two little tiny white plastic little washers inside of there. So what I've done was with this one, I took this knife apart, taken this little screw out of it, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 times, little screwdriver. And what I've done was I used the whetstone, this is the rough side, and I just gradually sanded those little plastic washers down really, really thin, and just kept putting it together, screw it back on, feel the amount of tension or the resistance in the blade movement to be able to achieve it to flick. Now this is what's called a nail. You call this a nail flick or a nail switch or something like that, where you just use your thumbnail to unlock, move the lock mechanism. There's also another on the inner part of this locking mechanism in here, and the same thing with this one. There's what almost appears to be a little kind of a half, almost like a ball bearing. There's a bump that sticks out on the inside, and that has two functions. Or the function of it is, so when the blade is in the closed position, there's a spot where it's supposed to rest inside that, where that ball, the little ball that sticks out on this lock lever, pops into a little slot or a hole in the side of the blade on the inside. You can't see it. You can't see it with the knife assembled. Now, I am not a how-to DIY. I'm just showing you just a little glimpse of what I can do. Okay? Don't think that I'm the kind of person that just walks into a department store, picks up a store-bought knife, and all of a sudden I consider myself a hardcore street outlaw, and I'm going to okay, this is a completely stock knife. This one doesn't quite do what I want it to. However, I learned through reading newspaper stories and hearing about murders, most people are killed by steak knives. Someone steals a steak knife out of a restaurant, keeps it in their pocket, and then all of a sudden they're going after someone on a drug debt. This knife, I wish I had a before picture of it. This had a serrated edge down here. The blade came out quite a bit thicker down along here. And then this tip came down straight like this. And it basically looked like a box cutter. It was almost like a triangular or a square. It was a real kind of a I don't know. I forget the word. There's a kind of a geometrical word for it, but it had a really boxy looking, really dorky looking blade. It was not meant for stabbing, puncturing, slicing, hacking. It wasn't meant to be used as a weapon. Okay? See what I'm getting at? No Gerber knife, unless you know what you're doing, is like that. Now, I looked up a few Googles and YouTube videos on trying to see if anybody else had taken the time to learn how to modify these knives. Okay, this one's just a little bit loose and wobbly. Just a bit. Okay, problem I also had with this, I had to take it apart, was this lock lever was not lining up into the blade. The reason I found this blade literally thrown on the street, was I think somebody had used it or attempted to use it, and the problem was the blade didn't fully lock. So I'm just gonna show you here. Okay, like the slightest tap, or even just the slightest force, the blade would fold in on itself, and basically you would cut your fingers while handling the knife, while using it. And even I've used this knife numerous times on the streets, not on people, but just for practice of different things. And I almost had the blade fold in on my hand. And one of the tricks I had to do with it was know how to keep a good grip, I guess keep a certain grip on it, but not to accidentally go this way with it. Has a slight bit of a double edge on the tip. I'm still working on that. This will be a double edge when I get done. Same with this one. Let's see if we can get that to focus. Right, it's got a slight double edge on it. And this one's next. This one's a little heavy, a little bulky. This is a buck. And buck knives have been around for generations. And I've had hundreds of these. Hundreds. I've had hundreds of these. And the only thing that's wrong with this one is it's still factory stock. It's all original. I've never taken it apart yet. I got to dig around and find an Allen key that fits this. The other knives, the Gerbers, used a little tiny Torx, like a T7 or something like that. Just this little guy here. And worked like a charm. Sorry, my camera focus is about as good as my eyesight. I'm actually nearsighted, but as I'm getting old, my nearsightedness isn't what it used to be. I need to get the old bifocals or reading glasses pretty soon. Kind of the similar thing that happened to my dad when he hit middle age. So anyways, that's what I've been playing around with. So yeah. Oh, see if I can do that. Yeah, these. Oh, there was a little piece that was in here on both of these knives, and all I did, I just took the vice grips and unscrewed that piece and threw it out. I didn't need that. What I didn't like with it was when I sharpen these on the whetstone, I hold the blade at about somewhere between a 25 to 30 degree angle. So this blade is literally razor sharp. Like you can almost shave hair with that. And cuts like you wouldn't believe. All right? But when you had with that little finger lock piece that was on here, it affected the ability to hold the blade down at that really, really low angle, right? And in all my years of using knives, playing with knives, pulling knives, or anything, I I have never had that need for that little piece. Even on, I got another little lock blade kicking around here somewhere, if I can find it. This little guy, this is just one of those little gift knives you get from some popular company or whatever, right? Company loyalty kind of thing. I've worked at places where these kind of little knives get gifted out from time to time. And I found this, not exactly sure where, and I took the little finger release off of it because I didn't really need it. This knife has also been completely re-edged. I'm not quite, oh, this one's almost finished, I think. I finished edging this one. This one's pretty good. This one, like I said, I started to re-edge it. One of the things I did was using the grinder on the drill, I ground right into the edge. Just from about the here near the tip right to about here, right near where the serrated part I took out. And so this blade had a hump in it. It had a little bit of a hump right there. You can kind of still see it. It's got a little bit of a high spot right here. And all I did, I just ground it. And it was literally just, there was no sharpness, no edge to it. So then I've been re-honing it to bring the edge back. And this one's almost 100%, not quite where I want it. I'm extremely picky when it comes to sharpening knives. This tip, I want to see if I can compare it. I want to shape it more like a buck. You see how it's got that negative curve right in here, or it curves inward? Well, that's pretty much the same thing I'm trying to do to this one. I'm going to give this one just a little bit more of an inward curve, and then this is going to get a double edge done to it. I might taper it further back and really thin this end down. The reason for that is because, like I said, similar to a steak knife, it makes a very effective stabbing weapon. Not that I use knives necessarily for stabbings. Normally my calling card is blunt force. That's usually what I do. So if you come across the aftermath of one of Batman's crime scenes, he usually leaves a calling card or a signature. You can tell Batman was there, right? You know, Batman comes in and he just beats people down and leaves their heads cracked open or something, or leaves people with broken bones. That's Batman. That's a Batman move, right? A ninja move, or whatever you want to call it. And anyways, the reason I'm doing this is I snapped. I'm angry. I'm a victim of a theft. I've been a victim of thefts and attempted thefts and break-ins for several years by the same people. I've been turned and betrayed and backstabbed and outcasted by my own friends, or whom I thought were my friends. And unfortunately now, I'm learning a few lessons, and I'm going to be teaching a few lessons later on. But anyways, I'm not a how-to or a DIY guy. I'm not going to show you entirely all the details of how I did that, but I figured I haven't seen anybody else make a flick knife. Look, I'm actually right-handed. I just did that with a southpaw. Right? That's how easy these flick. Right? See that? Just opens up easier than opening up the knife drawer. Ain't that just wonderful? Mind you, I normally don't take these out with me. This one actually I sometimes carry concealed, just as a safety precaution, especially when I'm out at night. But one of my favorite weapons, because it's not a weapon, is either the hammer, sledgehammer, or on occasion, my shovel. My shovel is the most feared weapon I have ever made, and I have turned it on people. I've also been seen under CCTV footage doing damage with the shovel. The shovel is razor sharp, thanks to a little work. And I use this as well. Razor sharp. I can give you a haircut with it. I can fix your sore throat with it. I can leave you in two separate body piles with it. That's my shovel. I'm not going to show you the shovel. Cops have seen it. They're quite fascinated by it. But I never take it out. Anyways, thanks for watching.